Right now, you're choosing between two completely different drone businesses. One caps you at $6,000 per month, the other unlocks six figures. The difference? Part 107 versus Part 108. Part 108 is coming in 2026, and the pilots who understand the difference between these two certifications will capture markets that Part 107 pilots can't even touch. In the next 10 minutes, I'm breaking down exactly what each certification unlocks, which one you actually need, and how to. Position yourself for the biggest regulatory shift since drones became legal. Let's start with Part 107 because most pilots don't actually understand what it limits. Part 107 launched in 2016. It made commercial drone operations legal for the first time. Before Part 107, flying drones 4. Money was a gray area that required expensive exemptions. But Part 107 comes with hard limits. Visual line of sight only. You must be able to see your drone with your naked eye at all times. Maximum altitude 400 feet above ground level. Daylight operations only unless you get a waiver. Cannot fly over people unless they're directly involved in the operation or under covered structures. These limits made sense in 2016. The FAA needed to prove drones could operate safely before expanding permissions. But 9 years later, these restrictions are choking the commercial drone industry. Here's what Part 107 actually lets you do. Real estate photography, wedding videography, construction progress, documentation within visual range, basic inspections where you can see the drone, small-scale mapping of limited areas. The average Part 107 pilot makes $4,000 to $6,000 per month. The high earners might hit $8,000 to $10,000, but you're fundamentally limited by the visual line of sight restriction. You can't fly pipeline inspections across miles of terrain. You can't do autonomous package delivery. You can't conduct large-scale agricultural operations. You can't perform BVLOS infrastructure monitoring. Sure, you can apply for waivers, but Part 107 waivers are notoriously difficult to obtain. The FAA approves less than 30% of BVLOS waiver applications. The application process takes 6 to 12 months, and even if approved, waivers are project-specific and location-specific. This is the Part 107 ceiling, good for entry-level commercial work, but it caps your growth potential. Enter Part 108, the regulation that changes everything. Part 108 is designed specifically for operations that Part 107 can't handle. Beyond visual line of sight flights, autonomous operations, operations over people and moving vehicles, nighttime operations without restrictions, higher altitude operations. Here's what Part 108 unlocks that Part 107 doesn't. BVLOS operations become standard instead of requiring waivers. You can fly miles beyond your visual range with proper equipment and procedures. This opens up pipeline inspection, power line monitoring, railway surveying, and long-range delivery operations. Autonomous operations become legal. Your drone can fly pre-programmed missions without active pilot control beyond monitoring. This enables large-scale agricultural mapping, automated infrastructure inspection, and fleet operations. Operations over people become routine. With proper risk mitigation and equipment standards, you can fly over populated areas, public events, and urban environments. This unlocks urban delivery, citywide surveillance contracts, and emergency response operations. But Part 108 isn't just Part 107 with fewer restrictions. It's a completely different operational framework with higher requirements. Airworthiness certification for your drones. They need to meet safety standards similar to manned aircraft. Detect and avoid. Technology required. Your drone must be able to sense and avoid other aircraft autonomously. Remote ID broadcasting in real time. Command and control link requirements that are more robust than Part 107. Geofencing and fail-safe systems. Part 108 also introduces two tiers: limited category and standard category. Limited category is for simpler operations. Think agricultural spraying over private property or linear infrastructure. Inspection in rural areas. Requirements are less stringent than standard category. Standard category is for complex operations. Urban delivery. Operations over populated areas. multi-drone fleet. Management, these require full airworthiness certification, operational manuals, safety management systems, and potentially pilot-type ratings for specific aircraft. The Part 108 pilot isn't just flying drones. They're managing operations that look more like small airlines than photography. Businesses. Here's where Part 107 versus Part 108 becomes a business decision, not just a regulatory question. Part 107 operations compete in a crowded market. Thousands of pilots offering similar services. Price competition is intense. Margins are thin. Average project value, $300 to $1,500. Part 108 operations compete in an undersupplied market. Few qualified operators. High barriers to entry, clients with serious problems willing to pay serious money. Average contract value, $20,000 to $500,000. Let me give you specific examples. Pipeline inspection under Part 107 with waivers. You might make $8,000 for a limited section. Requires visual observers, support vehicles, and massive logistical overhead. Pipeline inspection under Part 108. $150,000 to $800,000 annually for autonomous. Monitoring of hundreds of miles. One pilot, one drone, automated operations. Real estate photography under Part 107. $200 to $800 per property. Highly competitive. Lots of pilots available. Urban delivery operations under Part 108. Multi-year contracts worth $5 million to $50 million. Almost no qualified operators available. Companies are desperate for Part 108 certified pilots. The Part 108 addressable market is projected at $92 billion by 2030. The Part 107 market, about $12 billion. Part 108 operations represent 8 times the market opportunity. But here's the catch. Only about 1% of current drone pilots will qualify for Part 108 operations. The requirements are significantly higher. The investment is substantial, the risk is greater. That's the opportunity. High barriers mean low competition and premium pricing. So here's the critical question. Should you pursue Part 108 or stick with Part 107? The answer depends on 3 factors: your current situation, your market opportunity, and your willingness to invest. Factor 1, your current situation. If you don't have Part 107 yet, get it first. Part 108 will likely require Part 107 as a prerequisite. Start with the foundation before jumping to advanced operations. If you have Part 107 and you're making $4,000 to $6,000 per month with room to grow, stay in Part 107 and scale what's working. Part 108 is a major pivot, not an incremental upgrade. If you have Part 107 and you're maxed out on growth or frustrated by operational limits, Part 108 is your unlock. You've hit the ceiling of what Part 107 allows. Factor 2, your market opportunity. Research your local market. Are there industries that need BVLOS operations? Energy companies, utility providers, agricultural operations, logistics companies, emergency services? If yes, Part 108 is your strategic move. If no, you'd be investing in capabilities you can't monetize locally. Factor 3, your investment capacity. Part 108 will require significant investment. New drone equipment with detect and avoid, airworthiness certified aircraft, potentially $15,000 to $50,000. Advanced training and certification, estimated $2,000 to $10,000. Insurance requirements will be higher, potentially $5,000 to $15,000 annually. Operational infrastructure like command centers and monitoring systems. Total estimated investment to become Part 108 operational, $30,000 to $100,000 depending on operation type. If you don't have that capital or access to financing, Part 107 is your realistic option until you build up resources. Here's what you should do right now based on your chosen path. If staying in Part 107, double down on service excellence. Build systems that maximize efficiency, focus on recurring contracts, stack complementary niches. Optimize your Part 107 business to generate maximum cash flow. If preparing for Part 108, start studying the proposed regulations. Follow FAA updates on Part 108 implementation. Network with early adopters and equipment manufacturers. Identify your target Part 108 market. Build relationships with potential Part 108 clients now. Start saving and planning for equipment investments. The Part 108 final rule is expected mid-2026. That gives you about 8 months to prepare. Here's your timeline. Now through December 2025, finalize your Part 108 business strategy. Which operations will you target? Who are your ideal clients? January through March 2026, secure financing if needed. Research equipment options. Connect with manufacturers about Part 108 compliant drones. April through June 2026, monitor final rule publication. Register for Part 108 training programs as they become available. Begin equipment procurement. July 2026 and beyond. Complete Part 108 certification. Launch Part 108 services. Market to identified target clients. Here's what most pilots get wrong about Part 107 versus Part 108. They think it's an either-or choice. It's not. The most successful drone businesses will operate in both tiers. Part 107 for steady cash flow and broad market access. Part 108 for high-value contracts and strategic positioning. Think of Part 107 as your base layer. It funds operations, covers overhead, and keeps you active in the market. Part 108 becomes your growth layer. It's where you pursue transformational contracts that significantly scale revenue. I know operators already planning this hybrid approach. They're maintaining their Part 107 real estate and inspection work while preparing for Part 108 infrastructure monitoring. The Part 107 work pays the bills. The Part 108 work builds wealth. But let's be realistic about Part 108. It's not going to be easy. The certification will be challenging. The equipment investment is substantial. The operational complexity is high. Insurance and liability concerns are significant. Many pilots who attempt Part 108 will struggle or fail, just like many pilots attempted Part 107 and couldn't build. Sustainable businesses. Part 108 success requires 3 things. Part 107 doesn't. Significant capital investment, advanced technical capabilities, sophisticated business operations. If you don't have or can't develop all 3, Part 107 is your better path. There's no shame in building a solid Part 107. Business $6,000 to $10,000 per month is excellent income for many pilots. But if you have the capital, the technical skills, and the business acumen, Part 108 represents the biggest opportunity in commercial drones since Part 107 launched. The drone industry is splitting into 2 tiers. Part 107 operators serving local markets with standard services. Part 108 operators handling complex operations for major clients. Both tiers can be profitable. Both have their place. The question is which tier aligns with your capabilities and goals. The Drone Business Launch Pack includes complete roadmaps for both Part 107 and Part 108 business strategies. How to maximize Part 107 income. How to prepare for Part 108. How to build a hybrid model. Equipment guides, client, prospecting systems. Everything you need regardless of which path you choose. Link is in the description. Drop a comment. Are you staying in Part 107 or preparing for Part 108? What's driving your decision? If this video clarified the Part 107 versus Part 108 choice, hit that like button. Subscribe because we're tracking Part 108. Developments closely and you'll want those updates. The future of drone business is splitting. Choose your tier wisely.